Well, joining us now is Jonathan Bean from Fuel Poverty Action. Jonathan, really good to have you on the show. Doesn't it make sense that those pensioners who are well off and can afford it don't get this £300?
The problem is that there's about 2 million pensioners living in poverty, and the current system that would is pension credit that would qualify them for this support for winter heating. 5 out of 6 will now lose that support. So the pension credit system is completely broken, and obviously, therefore, we see it as a reckless decision to remove this support before fixing that. And the other thing is, obviously, energy prices are really high at the moment. They're 65% higher than they were in 2020. So you've got the combined issue of, a broken pension credit system and very inflated energy prices, which obviously means that a lot of pensioners this winter are going to turn their heating off. We know that they don't like to go into debt. If they can't afford it, they switch it off, and that's incredibly dangerous. I mean, my own uncle actually did that when prices shot up 2 years ago, ended up in hospital for a month and in respite care for 2 months, which obviously is devastating for him personally, but also the cost I worked out was about £20,000. So it's about 100 times more than the support. So the idea that we're going to save money by doing this, all we're doing is we're moving costs onto the NHS and care system. So that 1.4 billion is a complete fiction. Yeah,
what the government, though, is saying is it is increasing the state pension. Isn't that going to help mitigate that? Well,
the issue is the state pension is actually set £3 above the cut-off for pension credit. So it's a really cruel system. So basically, if you get the state pension, you can't get pension credit. If you get the new full state pension, it's £3 different. So it's a very cruel system. They then don't get all the other benefits that are passported through the pension credit system. So often they can actually be thousands of pounds worse off than those on pension credit. And as we know, there's a huge issues in terms of pension credit application as well. So it's a really bad situation. Both systems need reforming. We need to reform the pension credit system. We need to reform the energy system.
We talk about all these systems, though, but isn't it the energy companies that the government should be focusing on?
Well, yes. I mean, government and Ofgem should be much tougher on energy firms. They've made huge profits during the last few years. And obviously, that's part of the reason our prices are so high, why we're paying 65% more. Standing charges are also really cruel. I mean, you pay £330 before you get any energy at all. So if you're a single pensioner trying to eke out your very small income, a lot of money is taken before you even get any energy at all. So we need to cut the profits of the energy firms.
Well, lots to delve in there. Thank you, Jonathan. Let's turn to you, Uma, first. Now, you are newly elected, one of Labour's, in one of London's most deprived areas. But you voted for this change. Why?
Look, this was a really, really tough decision. It was a tough week in Parliament. You can't be moved from watching the clip that we've just seen, listen to what Jonathan's saying. None of us got involved in politics to make decisions like this, least of all not me.
So that must have been a very difficult decision.
It was a tough decision.
Do you feel a little uneasy?
But this is where we are because of what we have inherited. 14 years of failure by the previous Conservative government. We've been left with a £22 billion black hole, and it is a catastrophic state of the economy. And these are really tough decisions.
But do you think that was the right place for Labour to start trying to fill that black hole with some of the most vulnerable in society?
We're being honest about the scale of the challenge, and there are still tough decisions to come. We've heard the Chancellor say it, we've heard the Prime Minister say it. This is the dire state of the public purse because of 14 years of mismanagement.
I think a lot of people think that they may have been duped into this. This wasn't in the manifesto. People may feel cheated in a way.
We came in, nobody no Labour politician, no Labour MP thought that we'd be having to make these decisions coming into Parliament. But this is the dire state of the finances. This £22 billion black hole that we didn't know about. And the Office of Budget Responsibility is now investigating this. It's a really bad situation to be in. Yeah. But there is some light at the end of the tunnel here. We're doing a massive pension credit drive. 880,000 pensioners are eligible that are not yet getting it. The poorest pensioners will absolutely continue to receive this. And we are encouraging everyone, not just in Stratford and Bow, but around the country to get on this drive.
Well, let's just bring you, Sarah, in on this. Do you think that that was the right place for Labour to start?
No. I mean, the Liberal Democrats, we do understand that the public finances are in a really, really bad way after so many years of Conservative mismanagement. We totally understand that. But we absolutely don't think that the government should be trying to balance the books on the backs of the most vulnerable. And as Jonathan has been saying, it's going to be a really tough winter for everybody, particularly people on low incomes. And to be cutting winter fuel allowance now is going to make life incredibly tough.
What would you have cut instead?
Well, what we are proposing, the Liberal Democrats in our manifesto, we've talked about lots of tax raising opportunities. In particular, we want to see a proper windfall tax on the oil and gas giants, and we think that that would be generating the kind of revenues that we need to see in order to be able to spend more money on our public services, which would, deliver gains for everybody. So that's why we're saying this is the wrong time to make this cut.
Well, Jonathan, I just want to get your reaction to what both MPs have said.
Well, starting with Sarah, so we totally agree with the windfall tax. There's massive profits made in the oil and gas industry, actually in other parts of the energy industry as well. So we actually have a proposal to take windfall taxes to actually provide something called Energy for All, which would actually protect everyone. So all these pensioners that are at risk this winter of either dying or ending up in hospital, but also other people that are struggling. So we definitely want to take that excess profit out of the industry and use that to protect people.
And of course, Uma, they're saying that this was an incredibly difficult decision, and this is what the Labour Party have inherited. Is there any sympathy for them?
It's a complete mistake. I mean, I don't think actually it was thought through properly in terms of the impact on the NHS and care system, the fact that actually the savings will not be made anyway. So it's not going to help whatever this black hole is or isn't. This is not going to help because the costs are going to just go onto the NHS and care system and actually more bureaucracy in the pension credit system as well. So it's not going to save money, and there's potentially 4,000 people that will die this winter as a result, as well as the impact on the NHS. So it's a mistake and it needs to be stopped.
OK, worrying news, and also something I'm sure we're going to be talking about much more here on BBC London.